Hello, my name is Nick Hyde. I'm a student at South Oldham High School, and today I'm presenting the idea of genetic engineering and cloning. I'm going to start off by giving you the pros and cons, and I'll lead you in whichever direction I believe is better if genetic engineering and cloning is good or not. To get started with the pros, one of the biggest pros of genetic engineering is faster growing plants and animals. Now when everyone thinks of genetic engineering and cloning, they think of, oh, I've been to my local pet store before and seen glowfish. Or I've heard of people cloning their dogs for hundreds of thousands of dollars in the news lately. That's where genetic engineering gets a bad rep. That's a lot of people thinking, oh, they only use it for inhumane reasons, therefore genetic engineering isn't good. But starting off with faster growing plants and animals, this can solve many issues across the world. In many poor, specifically African countries, they're not able to grow, or if they need to feed more people for less amount of money because they don't have the resources like super rich countries like America do, if they could grow a potato twice the size as the potatoes in America for the same amount of cost, that can greatly solve issues in these poorer countries. Another big issue is pesticide and chemicals are greatly reduced when used genetic engineering. This is a very complex topic, but to sum it up basically, scientists are able to reconfigure the DNA inside of these plants, and it causes them to not, or for pesticides to not want to get on these plants and eating them. A lot of people have very negative thoughts towards the chemicals, hence the big organic movement that's been happening in the past few years. But a lot of people, if you want to go all organic, you have to spend a lot of money in putting nets up around the plants and all this other stuff. If you're able to just genetically modify it to where pesticides don't have to get on it, that will save you a lot of money. A statistic that I found from the Illinois Corn Organization states that from 1996 to 2011, pesticide use in America has been reduced by 9%. That doesn't sound like much, but that's 975 million pounds of chemicals that would have been used on the crops that Americans eat. That is insane. Another big benefit is pharmaceutical benefits. This is another very complex topic, but to sum it up, medicines are made from crazy things. They can be used from snake venom, scorpion venom, just strains of the disease, a ton of stuff. Now, one of the big things that genetic engineering can do is produce new bacteria. As new diseases, such as coronavirus has just come out, they're going to have to be able to figure out how can we create these new vaccines. One of the things they do is they produce new bacteria, new chemicals, and many other microbes to be able to put in these vaccines, put in these medicines, put in the treatments, and even use to cure disease just because of genetic engineering. Now, when it comes to the cons of genetic engineering, one of the biggest cons that we face is environmental risk. You may have heard stories in the news before of, oh, new coyote put in Hawaii. That's just a made up example, but this does happen in real life. If somebody were to genetically engineer a small bacteria even and put it out into the environment, that can cause so many issues for this one environment, and that's just a bacteria. If you put in a genetically modified fish into a pond, that can take over the pond. That can take over many water systems. That can do many detrimental things to the environment. When it comes to religion, this is where it gets very iffy. It kind of depends on what religion you belong to, what books you're reading, etc. But a lot of people, and a lot of religious people, disagree with genetic engineering, and that tends to bring a lot of issues into the field. A lot of people think that it plays against God to be able to clone dogs, or maybe even in the near future clone humans. Who knows? But next big con is genetic engineering costs a lot of money. Traditional cloning, which what you've heard of, like, oh, if I can clone my dog or something, which is all very new technology, will cost, at the minimum, $122,000 and take up to 11 months. That's a lot of time and a lot of money that this takes. Now, whenever you think of genetic engineering, you think the biggest thing that relates to is DNA synthesis. DNA synthesis will basically reconfigure, like make potatoes bigger, make more corn. Almost all of your issues fall within DNA synthesis. J5, which is the cheapest option, is basically DNA synthesis, but on very smaller scales for smaller issues. Another thing, according to the Food and Drug Administration, genetic engineering started in 1973. That's really not that long ago. There's a lot of things that could cause, or there's a lot of unresearched topics, and nobody really knows the long-term effects just yet. So this could have no long-term effects. This could have many long-term effects. We just really don't know yet. Now, to sum it all up in conclusion, I personally believe that genetic engineering and cloning is a good thing. This is because although there are downfalls of genetic engineering and cloning, the benefits greatly take over. It's able to solve issues such as world hunger if we put enough funding and enough resources into it. It's able to solve things such as, sorry, I'll go back to my slides. It's able to solve things such as reduced chemical use in agriculture, and it's able to create new pharmaceutical benefits. This one alone should be able to solve it because it's able to cure, prevent, and reduce diseases. Do I have any questions?
No.
All right, this is my bibliography. Thank you for your time.